Beautiful. All right, let's get into it. So, hi everyone. My name's Jane, and I work for Primary Industries Education Foundation Australia and the Victorian Farmers Federation to run the Vic Farmers Home program. So, before I pass over to our awesome producer, Farmer Hugh, I'd just like to do a little bit of housekeeping bits and pieces. So, the first thing that I have to say is thank you so much that everyone's got their cameras switched off. As we are recording the session, we just ask that cameras do be switched off. But at the end, I'll stop recording and we can all have a wave if you would like to switch your camera on for the end. There is time for questions after Farmer Hughes had his presentation. So we'll make a little bit of time for that at the end as well. So hopefully if you do have any questions, you can pop those in the chat and then Farmer Hughes will give you some answers. I would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land from which I'm speaking to you today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. All right, that's about it for me. So I'm going to hand over to Farmer Hugh now. Take it away, Hugh.
No worries, Jane. Thank you. Okay, everyone. I'm Hugh McCaig. I'm a young farmer from Rochester, Victoria, just in north central Victoria, sort of near Echuca. If you know where that is, you might go on holiday there, see the pale streams. It's a fairly medium rainfall, I guess, our zone. It's a winter cropping area, so we crop in the winter and then we grow through the winter rain. I'm actually up in the header right now, so we can somebody have a look around. But I came to be a farmer by just chance, I guess. Well, I grew up on the farm with Dad and always got out and about on the farm, out in the outdoors, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do till I was maybe at least 16, and then I finally decided, no, I want to be able to do something different every day and be out in the outdoors and be very creative with what I can do, and I just really have a passion for growing crops. We grow wheat, canola, peas, barley, and some hay, oats as well. So we have a fair bit of crops going on in our rotation, which keep us fairly busy. I work on the farm here to grow all those crops with the old man, Dad, Bruce. He worked with his dad as well, so it's handed down through the generations. As well as we have two other workers on the farm, because it gets pretty busy when you're looking after such a large area. So what I'm actually here to talk to you about is about harvest. So harvest is the time that after you've spent all year preparing the crop, so you've planted it, which is going on right now. We're just planting today even, and then you have to spray it and keep the weeds out and fertilize it, and hopefully the rain comes all year, which it's coming this year. Come around November, when it starts to warm up again, the crop will turn, because it's only an annual plant, and it will ripen ready for harvest, and that's when you have to pull out your header. So that's what we're up in right now, which is the big header, of course. So I guess I'll show you how the header actually works. They all the same, really. They get the grain out of the out of all the straw. Oh, here's some here right here. So here's your wheat plant that you have out in the paddock, and so there'll be thousands and thousands and thousands of these out in the paddock. And what you need to do is try to get those grains out of that head there. There's some wheat. Yeah. So in order to do that, we need a machine. It used to be done by hand, but nowadays it's done with big machines doing. I know that one there will do 50,000 loaves of bread a day. So there's a fun fact for you. But so the way they work is, turn around here. You have your standing wheat crop or anything crop, and it comes along here, and it gets cut with the knife, and knocks it onto the belt, and then the belt takes it into the middle, and then up the center, and then that's where it's getting thrashed inside this machine here. So if we open up this, it comes in here to these panels in here. There we go. So the wheat heads, they're coming up here, and they're coming into this section, which is the drum or the rotor. And there's a big piece in there that spins around at like 1,000 RPM. So it's really flying. And then it knocks all the wheat and the chaff out. So you get more of like more like just like this. And then you got to clean that as well. So it's got a big fan underneath, and it's blowing up through the back here. And it's just got a series of screens in here that they call the sieves. And yeah, that's where you can where all gets separated. And if you haven't done a good enough job thrashing a couple heads out, they go back and get done again. But otherwise, the chaff just all goes out in the straw, and then you've got the grain, and it goes up the grain tank. Same as that one, up the grain tank, and then you just got to auger it out when you get a full box. And so harvest time is very busy because it's all happening very fast, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot on the line too. Because if you don't get the crop off before, say, a rain or something, you'll get downgraded, so you start to lose profit. So sometimes you can have all the glory right there in front of you, and then a storm comes through and you just lose the lot. So it's a very risky game we play, but I love the game. Some reason I started playing around with old motors when I was a bit younger, and I always had a bit of a thing for just mechanical stuff. I used to weld things up when I was in grade 6, and yeah, make little sculptures for mum. They actually proved very popular. But time went on, I started getting into motors and things like that, and then a mate convinced me that I should get this old header out of a paddock, and I didn't know about that, and then he convinced me, and well, now I have about 12 of these headers now. I picked another one up on the weekend. The main thing I like about these old girls, they're mainly Australian ones that I'm collecting here. So we've got a David Shearer here, and there's just not a lot of Australian-made headers, or there isn't any Australian-made headers in anymore. So up until about the late 80s, we made our own here in Australia, where that one over there, that's made in America now. But you wouldn't believe the header itself was actually invented here in Australia, and it looked much like this one here. This is a Sunshine. It's a 1932 model, I believe. It's actually the same one that my grandfather would have used to harvest his crops. And so it's got a bit of a different front. Back then, when they didn't have any chemicals and stuff to keep the paddocks clean, they had to work the ground up a lot, so their crops were a lot thinner. So they had to try to catch every single piece. So we had to try to get all of the grains and things and not lose any out the front. And so, but it still cuts it, takes it in there. And then again, it goes in here to where there's a drum that spins. And it thrashes out through there. And then just in here, there's the screens and the sieves. And they, again, just air coming through here and blowing out. And yeah, it takes it up this little elevator here. Even the big one has an elevator, and puts it in the grain tank. Except no auger on this girl. Granddad must have been very fit, because he used to carry about 100-kilo bags of wheat around the place, and lots of them. I can't believe how fit they would have been. But yeah, this header here is it's a Sunshine. So it was developed by H.B. McKay here in Australia, at Drummond, which is about 20 kilometres from here. And by Hugh Victor McKay. Funny enough, the same first name as me. By chance. So I got this one just around the corner from where I live here. It's in really good condition, but I actually broke it when I used it last year. So it's in the workshop at the moment. But you'd sit up on here, and you'd have your tractor up the front there. But even before then, they would have had some horses, and they'd pull you along, and you'd put your front down into the crop, and it'd be all whirl and spin away. But they would have thought they were making money then, because before that they would have had to gather all the wheat up and carry it to another place and thrash it, and then carry it to another place and clean it. But this is my favourite one here, actually. This XP88 David Shearer. It's a 1968. I don't know what it is about this one. It's just like, it's really just really well made. I say that, but it was not fun to put the front on this morning. But it's just the same. They're all just the same. They're just get more and more efficient as time goes on. That header there, it's 470 horsepower, and this one is 90. So, and the one over there would have been maybe 3 horses if you put the horses on the front. This one might go. It's pretty cold. Well, it's one to go. Wow, it's like, it was 0 degrees here last night, so it was a good frost. And the old motor's very tired. No, there's a lot of smoke going, but no go.
Hey Hugh, what happens to your crops if there's a frost?
It depends. At the moment, we're getting frosts, and it's just the plant will just stop growing at the moment. It's only very little, and that's it. It just stops growing, and then when the frost melts, it keeps growing again. But later in the year, sometimes you can get a cold night out of nowhere, and you don't want a frost when the crop is flowering. When the crop's flowering, it's got tiny little flowers coming out of each of the wheat heads, and when it freezes, it just kills them. It kills the grain straight away. So you might have a huge big crop that you've grown all year, and then just one night in September, October, somewhere there, it can just be all gone. The whole just won't grow any more grain. So then that's where we're lucky where we're situated, that we have a lot of dairy farms nearby, and we can cut the lot for hay. So we have there's a really big hay shed here that we store all our hay in. But so then we have to make hay, which is not the ideal situation, because hay is a lot of work compared to harvesting in one go. But
Stuff. Oh, we've got an awesome question.
Yep.
It says, would you possibly use robotics in the future? Or do you already use types of robotics in your farming?
Well, without being fully autonomous, we're very close, really, in the farming scene. There's a few robots here and there. It's very hard to beat the human eye and human nature, being able to pick little things up. But I'd say so. All the tractors that we have at the moment, they drive themselves. They can drive down a straight line within a centimetre for like year on year. So I'm just in the cab just pressing buttons all day, but I got to watch what's going on. As for robots, I think swarm robots will be what we'll probably see in the future. Lots of little robots that go around and dig out the weeds and things like that, and monitor all the crops. We already have satellite monitoring of our crops to watch if there's any damage going on and how they're going through the season, seeing areas that we can improve on. But yeah, the header here, it's got GPS in it right now. So I'll see if it'll come on, and I'll show you. That's probably the best advancement that I've seen, and my favourite, because it makes everything really neat and perfect. You get to use the autos here. Oh, here we go. The autos here. So nearly every farm actually has autos here now in their machines. So yeah, you get to set a line that you need. Oh, except lots of warnings. And today we run everything on 0 and 90 degrees. Not that one. Oh, that'll do. Hang on. I can't get it to work. But yeah, that's the only trouble with technology, that it can be very speaky. Sometimes you can have everything ready to go, but the GPS just won't work, and it's really frustrating. But other times it works flawlessly all day. I mean, we have one of the tractors that even turns it around at the end for us, so we're just pressing the button. So autonomous and almost fully robotic, tractors are very close. I think it's a very big limit though, is that the mindset of a few people are very bit scared of it though. But labour is hard to find on farms. We're always short staffed of skilled labour, and people that want to have a go. You wouldn't believe with the amount of people in the world, but.
Oh, well, we'll have to encourage everyone that's watching might have to have a go of going out on the farm and doing a bit of work out there. All right, Hugh, if it's okay with you, can I open up for some questions? So if anyone has any questions, would they like to put them in the chat now?
Where do I see the chat? Or are you going to read them out?
I can read them out to you, Hugh. What do you do? This is my question. What do you do if the technology is not working, but you really have to harvest something?
You can drive them like manually and put a lot of stuff into manual mode. If you really do need to get something done, you can get it done. But there's little things like overlap or underlapping, and you just in farming, the margins are very fine sometimes, so you've got to be bang on. So that's why we use the technology. But you can use all the machines in basic mode. They're just as I said, they're the same as that. They're just these ones are just full of electronics. Yeah.
Gotcha. Awesome. Oh, we've got heaps of great questions now. So how long does it take to plant all of the seeds on your farm?
We're still going now, which is we plant 6,000 acres here on our farm. So it's taken us since late March to now, but we'd be done by now, but it's been very wet, so when it rains we can't go and plant. So the seeds are there. We're not done just yet, but most of it's in the ground and coming up. I don't know if you can see way over there. There's some wheat growing just there.
Nice. What have we got? How much grain do you collect when you harvest?
It varies the yield that we get off the land, but on our farm, we're getting around 5 tons to the hectare. So a hectare is just, if you can imagine, 100 meters by 100 meters square. So we're getting 5 tons to the hectare of that, and total, so wheat, we're getting around 3,000 ton of wheat, which is just a mammoth amount, and 2,000 ton of canola, and 10,000 bales of hay. The numbers are just phenomenal. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, so that's a great one. You just mentioned canola, and we've got a question that says, do you just make bread, or do you use grain for other foods? Or what other crops do you grow, and what can they be used to make?
Well, the wheat is for either ones that we grow actually for noodle and biscuit wheat, and the canola, it is for veg oil, biodiesel, and just lately the byproduct of making biodiesel is now making biodegradable straws as well.
Cool.
And then the barley, we grow that on contract for a brewery in Melbourne, and the peas that we grow, sometimes the peas are a bit funny. They can sometimes make it for into the human consumption market, but if they don't look quite right, they're very picky. If they don't look quite right, they go into animal feed. So then we feed animals with it, and the hay, of course, is for animal feed as well. A lot.
Awesome.
Some of that is actually in Japan. Some of the hay we make goes
Oh, wow.
to
To feed cows.
you feed dairy cows over there by hand. They feed them out by hand, so the hay has to be perfect, or they can see everything.
There you go. What have we got? What kind of hours do you work? Early mornings, late nights?
It does vary quite a bit. I'm more of a night owl, not an early morning person, but anyway, like on average 12 hours a day. But I don't think I work very much because I just love what I do. It's just like playing around all day.
How many acres are on your farm?
Yeah, there's 6,000 acres on our farm, which is about average size for the grain growers in my area here, just west of Rochester.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. How many types of plants do you have on the farm?
Plants. Well, I think the list there was maybe 15 different plants that we're sowing, this year, which is there's wheat, peas, canola, barley, oats, tillage radish, vetch, corn, rye, clover. I nearly got them all. Yeah, there's a lot of different plants that we have to grow, which you have to grow in rotation to spread your risk of disease and things out, and give the soil a bit of a break sometimes from the production.
Awesome. Do you like using technology, and has it changed over the last few years?
Yeah, I love using technology. I've always been a bit of a tech kid. Ever since they gave us I don't know if they do it anymore, but they gave us some laptops in grade 6, which just got us into the tech space a lot earlier. And I've always had a thing for technology, new technology, and especially drones and robotics. But it's starting to actually get above my head now. What they can do, they can pick out different weeds in a crop with a camera when you're growing at 20k an hour and turn the sprayer on exactly on this one weed. Yeah, that's incredible technology.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I've got one that said, which machine did you break? Which was the header that broke?
I broke the gear on that old girl over there. I was doing a harvest day, and I just went to put it in gear, and it just went bang, and this big gear broke in half, and then I broke this morning. Actually, I flipped that header front off the trailer. That was it. But yeah, they're big and made out of steel, but they're very fragile too at times as well.
I imagine the older ones as well, probably.
Yeah, the older
ones.
Well, I haven't given them a beating, but I'd say they've had a beating beforehand.
Within years, yeah. How long does it take to harvest a whole crop? That's a good question.
It depends on the year. If there's been lots of rain and the crop's pretty big, it will take you a long time to harvest the crop. The longest we've ever been harvesting was until March, but usually it's from you start in November, and you try to be done by Christmas, because you don't want to be finishing Christmas lunch and going on the header.
It's not much fun. All right, what is your favorite machine to use, Hugh?
My favorite machine? This one is my favorite at the moment, but there's some others up in another shed just here that one of them is pretty special. There was only 350 of them ever made, and I've got the very last one, and it's in real good condition, and it's nearly my favorite. It's a Conochet, they call it.
Oh, awesome. Where does the food or crop go once it's harvested? So where do your crops go?
Majority of it goes directly to storage. So in a local town, they have a grain receiver. So at harvest time, there's trucks running around everywhere, and they're running all the grain into huge big piles, and they put it into a warehouse there where you can sell it from there, or you put it in your own farm storage, and you wait for during the year and you sell it to try to ride the market, because when there's a big surge in supply, the demand drops, of course, and the price drops. So you want to store a little bit yourself, so that when everyone's finished harvest, you can, and the supply's down, you can sell again when the price is a bit better.
Ah, that's using your thinking brain.
Yeah.
What's the biggest machine that you use?
The biggest machine would be the header. It's the biggest machine. We have two. We actually have two of them. There's one there. There's another one just in the shed here, hiding in there. And yeah, we need both of them to get the crop off in a timely manner, because the longer it's standing there ready, the more the pressure's on to get it off. So you need to have two of these big machines, which is we haven't bought a new one for a long time, but a new one now is in excess of $1 million.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
There's a lot of money, but there's a lot of money that you've got to try to get out of the paddock. Otherwise, you just won't make it as a farmer.
That's it. All right, we've got another good one. How do you keep the pests from eating your crop?
Through a variety of strategies. So we have an integrated pest management strategy where with rotations, so with growing different crops, we can keep disease out that way. But as for insects, sometimes we do have to spray for the insects, which I absolutely hate doing. But usually they'll come in and they look bad, and then they'll just go again. So, but if they get really bad, you can spray them, but that's never much fun. But
I've got a question. How do you make good bugs? How do you encourage good bugs on your farm?
By good bugs, I'm still trying to figure that one out. But we've been trying a few more organic or regenerative practices on our farm, using like worm poop as fertilizer, and we spread chicken manure on our whole farm to cut down on input, like fertilizer inputs that are synthetic, and then that encourages better bugs and things in the soil, which then healthier crop means it's stronger, and then it keeps the bugs away because they can't bite into it because it's a stronger plant. And then the better bugs can come in, and because you don't have to spray, then the better bugs keep surviving, and then you get on top of them that way.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we've got another one that says, do you get crops that are unsuccessful when growing? And how do you do that? What happens?
Yeah, there's a couple of ways that you can have an unsuccessful crop. Usually it's when it's really dry, when there's a drought, like there was in 2019 here. It just not enough rain through the year, and sometimes it will go like 6 weeks without any rain at all, and it hadn't had much before that, and it starts to wilt. And like say, if I got to water mum's veggie garden, they might wilt and look a bit sad. So that's one way they can fail. Another way is if there's a mix-up with the sprayer and the wrong spray goes onto the wrong crop, you can wipe out the crop just like that. So there's a lot of risk involved there. But
for sure,
we usually try to mitigate any full losses.
Yeah, you got to pay pretty close attention. Oh, we've got a good one. So what is your favorite plant to grow? What's your favorite type of crop?
Oh, it's I'm not real sure. I like wheat because we can grow wheat pretty easily here. It's a good wheat growing area, but I like growing a multi-species crop, which we grow for the sheep as well as to restore the soil. I grow like 10 different plants in one paddock all at once, and then they all grow together. And then you go out there in springtime, and there's bees and everything going on, and it all sounds very nice. So I like growing that, but you don't get to harvest that. So that's why I'm saying wheat.
Yeah. So you just put the sheep in there to eat.
Yeah, put the sheep in there to graze it off. But mainly it's for feeding the bugs under the soil.
Nice. All right. So we've got one question that says, do you enjoy being a farmer? And I would add to that, what's your favorite part?
I absolutely love being a farmer. I don't think I could do anything else at all. I would be lost if I wasn't a farmer. I think it's not a job to me. I guess it's a lifestyle. And what do I like about it? I think I just like, especially working here on the farm, family farm, it's sort of being your own boss. You can decide what you're doing each day, and every little bit that you put in, you get a reward at the other end. So, and you don't do the same thing every day. If you don't want to, if you inside and do some paperwork or look into some new machinery, you can do that. But if you want to be out in the paddock or playing around with old headers, you can also do that too.
That's an awesome answer. All right, we've got a good question. So, do you also have animals on your farm?
Yeah, we have sheep. We get fat sheep, sheep into fatten for market. They go straight to woolies. We run around 4,000 sheep through the year, so we don't have them all at once. We buy them in little bits and pieces, and we actually buy them from Tasmania, and they come up on a truck up to here. It's just a good market for us. And we feed them the grain that we harvest and the hay that we produce, as well as some of the crops that we grow. We feed to the sheep as well. And we only buy them in and fatten them, because then at harvest time you can sell all your sheep and not have any sheep to worry about, and you focus on the harvest.
Awesome. All right, we've got one more question, and that says, what happens if you don't harvest the crop in time and leave it growing for too long?
Well, I guess it can't grow too long. It just gets to a point, and it's just finished. It'll just stay there, and it'll just start to break down, I guess. So just like if I left the canola growing out in the paddock, it'd just blow around, and then it'd just start growing again by itself. The seeds would just fall onto the ground, and they'd just start to grow again. But that's a bad situation, because you try to avoid growing two crops of the same type in like year on year, because they just seem to get a lot more disease, and then you have to spray a lot more. And there's this canola you're growing just randomly has got disease on it now already. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, I would like to say a massive thank you, first of all, to everyone that joined us today. But secondly, to Farmer Hugh, it has been such an awesome session. All right.